I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Frank Barrier, Dave Campbell.
Here.
Jim Conley.
Here.
Larry Sear.
Here.
Mark Severs.
Here.
Bill Wilson.
Here.
Dana Tate. Here.
Okay, first thing is we're going to open some bids for the wheel loader.
I'm opening in the order that we received them.
You can open them any way you want.
Okay. This first bid is from K&S Equipment in Woodland, Alabama. Okay, so this is for case 521F 2017. The bid price is $108,000. It has 180 hours on the engine. It'll cost approximately $2,200 to get it up here. So you're looking at $110,200 for the first bid. Okay, the second bid is from Mitchell, South Dakota. Imagine it's going to cost a little bit of money to get this one here. Okay, so the bid on this is $105,350 plus $42.25 to get it here, so $109,575.
Does it say how many hours are on that engine?
Oh yeah, that's good. And the hours on this one, Venus. $184.6. Thank you. Okay, this one is from Parkersburg, West Virginia. $142 hours on the engine, $108,900 with a $1,200 shipping fee, so $110,100. What was the total on that?
$109,575.
Okay.
K&S at how many hours? 180?
100, which one?
For K&S equipment.
180,
180.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we got this bid in today. This is from, no. Yeah, this just came in today. This is for a This is from, I believe, Ingroff. Where's Ben at? Or Tim. Ingroff, the one that does our servicing on our loaders. They're a case dealer. So this one is for a This is for a 521F 2017, has 690 hours, and they're looking at a bid of $90,000.
That's here, shipped here, in Atlanta?
It's included in the price. So So it's 90,000.
So it's
from?
Are they in Center Hall?
Center County.
Oh,
Pleasant Gap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all spec'd out the same, right? Engine, everything like that?
We'll have to check it, to see exactly, the one thing that, one differentiator we saw was like the cold weather package, but we could check the specs, but, what are your thoughts? I mean, they're all pretty
I
closely
think they're
spec'd.
all pretty comparable or
Yeah.
compatible, but I think you ought to check the specs on them.
Well, you had a concern about the engine stuff too, right? For somebody locally who can repair it. Right.
But they're all the same brand of.
They're,
Just
the repair is right over Pleasant Gap, Mark.
Okay.
No matter.
Yeah, that
what's
was one of the reasons we just were looking at a case, because it can be repaired
Yeah.
locally without having to, stick it on a flatbed and truck it someplace.
Yeah, I mean, I think 90 is a winner.
I would say 93 is
Really?
just, you're looking 500 less hours.
How many hours is on the, 690? Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
How do hours compare? Someone back there help me out?
Compared to what?
Well, how do I, 142 hours to 690 hours?
It's like buying a car, used car for $150,000
Not a big difference.
versus,
A lot
50.
more hours, a lot more, you don't know. 142, I saw the one with 142 miles on it. It's brand spanking new. They never
Okay.
left the yard.
Oh, okay.
One with 700 or 100 hours on it, probably saw a job site or two.
Okay. That's what I'm asking.
What do they say about the warranty on them? Are they all the same, or
We can buy an extended warranty.
do they come standard with
these-
just 1 year, or what?
These all have a warranty through the end of October of this year, Mark, because they're all 2017.
Okay,
So they're still under their original warranty. If we want to buy an extended package, you're probably looking at 1 to 1.5% of the cost. So another, say, $1,200, $1,300.
So the specs of the package is comparable on all.
I
Same
haven't,
type of package, you don't know.
I wouldn't know until I looked at the details on this, but I
You
would,
get more for your money on one versus the other, and that's what I was
the
wondering.
one that Dave mentioned, the one that has 140 hours, that has everything.
that's one from West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, there's,
Yeah, I'd like to see you look at the specs and make sure.
okay.
Maybe you get a little better bang for your buck here for,
Yeah, I mean,
you
I'd
get
have,
more money.
I'd have to go with the one in West Virginia, like Dave said too. Make
That's
sure
the
it all
amount of
specs
hours.
out.
You want to
Yeah.
give us, you want to make a motion to give us permission to review the specs, but
Yeah.
based on the review of the
Yes.
specs, go ahead and purchase it?
Forward with
Yeah,
it?
I agree, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
So moved.
okay.
Well, you're gonna want to buy the one that's the
Lowest,
lowest price,
yeah.
that's within the specs that you put out.
Yeah, but what if you have a variable based on
Well, what do you-
hours?
It depends on what your specs say. Like, how do you
didn't-
spec it?
Just said hours. It didn't say,
As long, if, like you said, under 100, or,
What was that spec?
yeah, how, what was the specs for hours?
The original.
For the bid, when we put it out.
Yeah.
yeah, what did that say?
I thought it was 125 or 150, I thought.
What's that?
I can't remember.
The original.
Where would that say?
Towards the end. He gave me one, look
Yeah.
the way you look.
Yeah,
Oh, this is just their, is it that, this isn't gonna change the,
It just said low hours.
oh, just a no hours one.
Just that hours.
So Mark, we could legally choose the one with the lowest hours?
Well, you have to pick the one that has the lowest price that meets your specs.
Okay, so the differentiator is the hours.
Correct.
We have one that's the lowest price, but it has a lot more hours.
Does it have low hours?
doesn't have the lowest hours.
It has the
That's
highest
just
hours.
semantics.
It has 690 hours.
I mean,
at
the
lowest price.
issue you could run into is if you pick a different one, that person could say, look, I say these are low hours, you should have picked mine.
I mean, out of the bids, the number 4 was the highest hours by over 500 hours.
Mhm.
If it meets your bid specs, though, you have to pick the one with the lowest price. Like, you can't pick and choose and say like, I like this one the
It's all-
best.
You have to do it that way.
Well, that's the only thing you really had in as far as specs, or what else do you have for specs?
Well, there's a
Just
lot of
hours.
specs. I mean, we'd have to just go through it, but, I mean,
Well, I know Mark, what he's saying is right, I mean, you have to go to the lowest. But,
what is low hours?
right,
Well, I guess then the devil will be in the other details. If everything else meets specs, then
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if 700 hours is low hours or not, like within the industry, I don't know.
never ran one, so I can't
Yeah,
say.
I mean, if you could say, if it doesn't meet your specs, you could reject that bid.
How about you give us the ability to spend up to 110,000 on this based on what we look, after we examine the specs? Because that's what the second one was.
No, the third one is what we're
Third
talking
one was
Yeah,
110.
third one is-
110-1.
Yeah, that was 142 hours.
Yeah.
Can we do that, Mark?
I mean, I think that's the one you're getting, if it meets your specs.
Well, this one was the lowest price and it's 690 hours, but it's.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Right, the
So-
question is, does that meet your specs? I mean, somebody's gonna have to be able to answer that question and say
Right.
690 is not low hours, or 690 is low hours. I don't know the answer, but it'll have to be somebody who's willing to stand up. I mean, if it's ever challenged, and go to court and say, yeah, I know all about these things, and 690 hours is high hours, it doesn't meet the bid specs.
Manufacturer could tell you.
So then we just need the,
Or you can reject them all.
Rebid it.
You
Put our
cost
range of hours
advertise
on
it
there.
though, don't you?
Yeah, that's gonna be your issue.
Yeah.
What,
You just reject it all and then just put what our minimum requirement is for hours and then,
That's the easy
Do
way
that
out of
way.
it.
yeah.
If you don't want that one with the 690 hours, that's what I would probably do.
Because right now, we don't know whether that's high or low for hours.
I mean, I don't know if Tim or Ben know, I don't know.
Do you guys know Tim, Ben?
what's
That
that?
was definitely 500 hours more. I mean, you don't know how hard it was used. I mean, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, we understand that, but within the industry,
Oh, yeah.
if we were to say an industry standard with 600
Well,
hours.
they're gonna
we
say it's
consider
low
high.
hours.
there you have it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we should reject them all and then put our minimum hours
So we
on
gotta
it.
reject them. Start over?
Yeah, when you rebid it, say not more than X hours.
Yeah.
or-
Yep, I agree.
that we had that in there.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah,
I don't know, it could, I have to.
I mean, well, depends which one you want, just put 142 hours or equivalent.
well, I
This
need
one had the-
145. That wouldn't be
The
exact.
bid here. Invitation
Just
for
use
bid.
150.
Be towards the back. The specs will be towards the back. Venus.
These other 3 companies, they would be allowed to resubmit bids, correct?
Yeah, they could rebid.
If they still have them.
Or another company could bid.
Yeah.
140 or less.
Does it say that on the specs?
Yeah.
Then we're safe. Then we would be
So
safe.
you're
Reject
gonna
it.
So
have
that
to
one-
reject
All of them.
all of them. Nobody
Yeah.
met your specs.
Oh, no, they didn't, 140 or less.
Yeah, you got
No.
We have no-
180.
We have no legal wiggle room, Mark, to make an exception for 2
No,
hours.
just-
No.
yeah.
No,
It's inviting a problem if you would do that.
nope.
That's basically from scratch.
better not,
Yeah.
better not do it.
Another month.
I don't have any ad bill here. Do you
have to make a motion to reject them, or can we just make a
That's
motion?
what I would say, yeah, somebody make a motion to reject all bids and authorize staff to rebid it. Now, you might wanna crank those hours up a little bit, I don't know.
150?
Well, case in point, I would find out, like somebody said, the manufacturer, I mean, what, like 690 hours, what is the length of that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe 200
Maybe
hours
it's
is
fine.
acceptable, I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry, I'd call the manufacturer and get a feel for what is a lot of hours.
I mean,
Maybe
if
you would give us- maybe you would-
690 hours isn't high hours, and you're gonna get an extended warranty on it anyways, why
Well,
would
what
you,
it-
why would you spend the extra $20,000? I mean, if that's considered low hours to begin with.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, nobody knows that.
Well, that's what
I mean,
they
the
say,
one-
if they say that it is low hours.
Right.
I
But I
mean,
guess
the
the
one, we
real
bid it
point
out
is
at
that
140
none of them
hours,
met
none
our
of these met
specs.
our bid.
That
I
we
mean, the
put
one
out.
thing that we can do between now and, I mean, it's gonna take a couple weeks to rebid this, because of the advertising it. We could go see it.
And it's over.
Well, and then really fine tune on the warranty on it. Maybe the one with the 690 hours, maybe they'll give us extended warranty on it with minimal amount of money, if any. And they're local.
That's all. Need a motion
That's a motion.
to reject the
All
bids,
bids and
rebid.
authorize staff to rebid.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to reject, we need a second?
I'll second, only because we have to.
Yeah. All those in favor
I
say
have a
aye.
question,
Sure, I'm sorry, sure, Larry.
what are you gonna rebid it at?
I really think we'd do 150 hours.
100 or 200 or less.
So you're gonna eliminate the cheapest one just because it has more hours?
I see what you're saying. I think we need to get clarification from the
That's
manufacturer.
what I'm
on
saying.
Yes,
That-
okay,
I
yes.
thought we just discussed that we were gonna get the manufacturer's recommendation as to whether it was high
That's
hours
right.
or whether it isn't. We don't
That's right.
know.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so
We
we'll
did
do
say
that and then respec it.
I mean, I can't imagine someone asking $90,000 for a piece of apparatus that's considered high mileage
Right, but.
or hours.
Well, yeah, but see,
Whatever.
but you can, I mean, you can find one that has 10,000 hours and pay 25,000.
Well, sure, but if the manufacturer considers 600 and some hours as, still as low hours on a piece of apparatus, I mean, why would you put the other $20,000 to it? I mean, $20,000 would make a repair if you did have to make a repair, but you're gonna get an extended warranty, so. I mean, if you're talking about saving money, that's a way to save money.
That's just it though, is to lower our liability for potential maintenance. I mean, we're talking 5 times the life of these.
That's right.
Well, you're not talking 5 times the life because you don't know what the life of one of them is.
But when we're comparing the bids that we
Well,
have.
the average use for them wheel loaders was 1,200 to 1,500 hours a year.
Okay, so then that
they last-
hasn't even been used like half a year.
Well,
for it.
irregardless,
This
it
is
didn't meet
from
our specs.
Equipment World magazine, and it goes on to say that typically government agencies buy a lot of wheel loaders. They generally put just 500 to 700 hours per year on said loader, primarily loading sand and or salt for road de-icing, which would be probably our primary usage.
My personal opinion, it'd be better off to buy the one at Groff because more than likely it never left their yard and they serviced it when it needed serviced. It needed service.
And that
We
was,
still have
that
to
was a
reject
higher
their
hour.
offer.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
it didn't
we
meet our
can't
specs.
vote to buy one tonight.
No, we can't.
But, I mean, before you go
You wanna settle
putting the
on it?
specs out, I'd just like to know whether we're gonna consider this $90,000.
Well, it don't have to be awarded tonight, so.
Well, it can't
We
be,
can't.
No.
Didn't meet specs.
right.
Now, where was that you saw it? 'Cause I'm looking at specs here.
Right here. Oh, that's not what's on the one I opened up.
Now that's really impressed.
You have that same spec sheet? Well, it doesn't matter. It's even, look, I mean,
Well,
that,
it does matter, because if that says low hours, and this one says 140, then if we go with the low hours,
Where would that have come
I don't know
from?
that.
The one with the 140?
I don't know. This one is from.
Didn't we just send out a standard letter spec?
Don't you send the spec
Send it to all
advertisement
out?
that way?
Wasn't it the same for everybody?
You would
Yeah,
think,
should
but
be.
there's two different, in both of these bids, there's two different specification sheets.
Now, wait a second.
What page are you on?
With technology today,
How can that be?
Well,
they
you
can
better,
easily
you
Check
better,
now.
no, take that out.
all right, we will do whatever you want. If you want, we can.
The specs tweaked a little bit. You better get them tweaked up a little bit.
You didn't open it.
This one's low.
That one says low
That
still.
one says 1. Okay.
We have a motion and a second on the table.
Okay, so the motion is to reject all bids and authorize staff to rebid, but we don't want to authorize staff to rebid. Or we
This one.
We can
based
author-
upon,
We can authorize the rebid, my only question is how's it gonna be rebid?
right, exactly.
And I think that
We need to find out the
we,
definition.
we need to know whether the industry itself considers that as high hours or
I
not.
agree.
And if it isn't, we certainly ought to give it some consideration.
Well, you
I mean,
call-
if it meets all the other
I
specs.
agree.
You call a couple different manufacturers and make sure they're on the same page. And then
Well, I don't care if they call 100 of them. I
No,
mean,
I'm just
but I
saying this.
think we need to know that before we put the bids out.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, Dick.
Okay.
So we will reject these, authorize rebidding
Bidding
once,
after staff calls for various.
after we find out the standard industry for definition of
Low hours.
hours.
And I might suggest that if, when you do find out about what the industry considers low hours, by checking with several outfits,
That's what I said.
then it should be bid
That's what I said.
like that as low hours.
Right,
And then we don't get into this
this
habit.
again, right.
Well, I think you should still have a number, though. I think you should pick, you shouldn't say low hours, you should say 500 hours, or just, you gotta pick it.
Let's find what the
That's why you call
definition is.
two different manufacturers, find out what they consider low mileage on these, and use that range.
Yep. Sound like a plan?
Yep.
Did you have a vote?
You did not have a vote. Yes, so can,
Yes.
all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we are going to move on to hearing of persons present. Mr. Gomes.
Well, I was asked to come back, so
It's good to see your face.
I'm passing these out. These are updated versions of what I discussed at the last meeting involving this trail project. I had talked to, since the last meeting, I did meet with your finance committee about a couple of things. One of those has to do with not only with the cost and how the cost broke down, but also that we need about, as I said, between $45,000 and $50,000 is what we need to make this whole. I do have information, as I told the finance committee, that the Visitors Bureau is going to put up $25,000 toward this project. I've also outreached to several organizations to also make donations to this, and the county will also contribute to it too. So I think we can make it work if you're willing to move this forward, at least from the standpoint. If you want to make a donation, that would help. But we also, the biggest issue to us from the county standpoint, you'll see the county has agreed to pay for the survey requirements, which are not only helpful to the project application, but I also, in discussing this with Representative Hershey, he thinks that's necessary for them to review it for this, because the state has to approve any right-of-way easements across state land, which in his case would be the fire academy. The commissioners approved spending the $7,000 for the survey, a contingent upon the borough agreeing that they would take responsibility for the trail once it was constructed, and then any easement requirements after that construction has taken place. I have also shared with Mr. Remy a draft of a memorandum of understanding which Mr. Remy has looked at. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct.
I don't know if there's any, do you have any questions about the?
No, it's a brief, there's 6 points. What the county is looking for in this agreement is an agreement covering the following things. The county and Juniata Concrete and the Fire Academy are going to enter into an easement agreement whereby the concrete company and the Fire Academy will give the county a 10-foot wide easement for a trail, parking lot, etc. The trail is to be known as the Juniata River Trail. I mean, I guess we already have named a portion of the trail, the Rothermel Trail.
You can list it however you want to list it, just that.
Okay, so that's a question mark on 2. The trail will be constructed by the county pursuant to the draft proposal and location map. That's what Bill just handed out. Number 4, after the trail is fully constructed, the easement agreements will be assigned to the borough, and the borough agrees to accept said assignment of the easement agreement. Then pursuant to the terms of the easement agreement, responsibility for all maintenance and repair of the trail and the cost of said maintenance and repair will be assumed by and be the responsibility of the borough. And the borough and the county agree to the provisions of this MOU, and it'll have to be approved by the county and the borough. So essentially what you're saying is the county is going to construct the trail using easements that it gets from the fire school, and the concrete company, once it's constructed, the trail, the easements are going to be dedicated over to the borough, and then it's the borough's responsibility to maintain it into the future.
So that was a half-mile extension, correct?
Correct.
Can I ask a question? This was brought up at the last council meeting. Why was it brought back?
Because
What's the reason for it?
there was no motions
Council didn't
made.
act on that.
Council did not act on
Is there a
it.
reason why
And
they
he
didn't
has
act
since
on it?
updated funding. No one made a motion.
Okay.
We've received other donations.
So now he's back with less of a need.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a question I had, first time this trail come up when I first came back on council was, is Granville Township on board with this later on down the road?
I can't speak for Randall Township. This only stops at the borough line, and that's where it's stopping at. At some point in time, Granville may be interested, but they're not at
What's
this
that,
point.
what's that additional, where you wanna go a half mile or so? What is that?
That puts us across the fire academy property.
Well, maybe a short distance.
Some of this is some logistics with the property itself. You have to go down and cross some areas where we thought we were gonna have to put bridges across, but they're gonna have to put pipes across there, but there's still more cost for the logistics of this section of the trail than the first parts. The other one was all flat up on the ledge. Now we have to go down, those of you who've seen the plant, it goes down on the bottom behind the concrete plant, so we don't interfere with anything involved in the concrete plant.
I have a question there with that. I was up there today and half of it's still underwater. What are they gonna do with it?
What's that?
Where the trail's going?
I'm saying it's in the floodplain. That's the way it is. It's always gonna be in the floodplain.
Then we talked about we're not gonna be able to pave it or concrete it or.
Well, we can put asphalt on the thing. There could be uplifting after some point in time, depending on that. But I don't see it as a major issue. But that is the possibility.
It
Yes.
should be on our nickel.
Yeah.
Yep. Jim, I see Jim Smith back there. Jim, can I ask, you able to speak on behalf of Granville Township?
We had some major concerns about liability and few other things, maintenance and so on. And I know the other two fellows weren't really that interested.
Well, Bill brought up a good thing too about being underwater, and I mean, that's, we're gonna have to maintain it.
It was ugly down there.
We'll have to maintain it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the river's really up, we've got a lot of ice and snow and a
Well,
lot
that's
of
what
water.
the
the first time.
But that was the whole presentation about the concrete versus the asphalt, about the water issue, so, and that's why it's gonna be something to maintain it.
I think that's why you
And
didn't
so
get
does
any
Rec
votes
Park.
at the meeting.
So does Rec Park.
Right, and we maintain that.
No, that's true.
I mean, like I said, I've tried to find this,
Yeah.
is keeping the cost down as much as I
So
can.
what are you looking at as far as cost right now, Bill, from us? Let's
I'm
forgo
not- we're not-
maintenance.
Okay, right now, where I'm gonna have to either find a way to do this, and nothing can happen unless I, all I need is $20,000 to $25,000. That's, well, because everything else is gonna be tied to the grant application, okay? Since I got $25,000 for the visitor bureau. If the borough wants to put some into this, then that's your choice. Otherwise, it's up to me to find the other money, okay? My
And
only
this-
thing is, the question is, they can't do the commissioners will not authorize, they've already approved the survey contingent on you saying you will take responsibility for the trail if it gets built.
Okay, Bill, so
So that's-
originally it was $7,000, okay? 5 of it was leftover grant money, and 2 was supposed to be the Borough of Carver. Now you're saying
The
the
county's
county's
paying.
gonna pay the full
That's
$7,000 on the premise that we're gonna take on the repairs and maintenance of the half-mile extension, correct?
Correct.
And which, when you brought it to finance committee, we did discuss, and we were
Mhm.
okay with the maintenance aspect.
Mhm.
So all you're asking from us tonight is, will we vote whether or not to maintain this in the future?
And to agree to basically some kind of conditional approval of this memorandum of understanding that I've shared with Mark, and so that the commissioners feel there's a sense that they don't want to waste money if you're not going to at least commit to this.
But there was $53,000 minus the 25, leaving the borough to pay over $20,000, correct?
Well, I see it, I got it to 45 right now, you saw that, but I'm saying, 20 to
Yeah,
25,000 is
it's
what
not
I'm looking at, so, but,
No.
but,
Everything always goes up in price.
Well, that's the first, our first part of the trail did. Started one price went up.
Yeah.
So what we need next tonight is, if we so choose, a motion that the borough would agree to
maintain the
maintenance
trail.
of the extended trail and an agreement to the memorandum of understanding offered by the county.
Yeah, well, it's assuming that, that he wants to tweak any more than he needs to do,
I mean, the changes I would want to make to it is I would strike paragraph 2, with the reference to the name, because we don't want to I don't know what the terms and conditions with the Rothermel family is. We've already named part of it, so we can leave that. And I would ask that the trail be conveyed, or the easements be conveyed free of all liens and encumbrances when we get them. I mean, we don't want to have to deal with any type of issues.
And as you probably know, I have talked to the concrete company, I've talked to the fire academy, and seem to be very positive about this proposal.
You have a question, Mark? Or a statement?
Now, what I'm saying is, when Bill brought this up, the premise was he had to go back and see if he can get additional funding for this project.
Okay.
On that basis, because I felt that, according to the notes on here, when you look at the minutes, is that we could use those monies for other resources with our alleys, roadways, things of that nature. Maybe the timing isn't right for this additional monies for this project right now. So I wasn't saying that, to pay that $23,000 right now maybe isn't ideal.
Okay, but he's not asking for money tonight.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
It's going to eventually be there, plus it's going to cost the borough a lot of
Oh,
maintenance.
yeah.
Be a lot of
It
maintenance.
raises up, county, whatever it may be.
Yeah. A lot of maintenance and liability.
But I think maybe we should look at what it's going to bring into the borough. The possibility of tourism, people coming into our community to buy
That
things.
means anybody down there watching the new one yet?
I have.
I
Have
can't,
you been down?
I
Yeah.
can't believe a half mile I had to go into that.
Well, you have to
in a
think bigger,
scenario
though.
That's not gonna, that's gonna be damaged every time we get high water.
Yeah, you know, it's like I said, a finance committee, like, I personally don't go down there and use this trail, but I hear positives about it all the time, I really do.
Me too.
So,
Many people have expressed thanks for
Yes,
what's there
exactly.
already.
Exactly.
and I mean, I do believe in community investment.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Dave, it's an investment in our community in the future.
And I mentioned this before, I mean, there are a lot of people that are looking for areas to move into, or new businesses, or residential. Look for things like this. I mean, this is what draws young people into an area.
Absolutely.
I would like to add that I live in the borough and I appreciate the safe, walkable place. It's flat, it's safe, and we have Rec Park, but this is down by the river and it's really nice. I mean, it's an addition for me as a resident to have that safe, walkable place.
I agree. So, with that being said, any more discussion, questions for Bill? I appreciate you coming back for a third time, Bill, essentially.
So the motion would be what exactly?
The motion
Again,
would be that the borough would agree to maintain the trail after it's constructed and to the agreement for the memorandum of understanding with any proposed changes by Mr. Remy.
Okay, so, I mean, is it the right thing to make that motion outside of these changes, or is the right thing to do to make these changes and then try that as a motion?
Well, the memorandum of understanding, I mean, we can make those changes in 5 minutes. I don't think you need to wait. If you, it's more a question of, does Borough Council have the opinion that it wants to move forward with being responsibility for this or not? I think that's what the county is trying to suss out here. They want to say, should we bother going forward with this? Because if we can't even reach the basic understanding that, you know, hey, the county's going to build it, and then it's going to give it to the borough, and the borough is going to then maintain it. Like, that's what the memorandum of understanding says. Like, it's the broad strokes of the agreement between the parties. There's going to be more work involved to narrow everything down, but if those terms are acceptable, then, you know, you can go to, you can, somebody can make a motion to enter into the memorandum of understanding, you know, as amended for our discussions.
I'd say it's a lot of money for such a short distance, and especially for Granville Township, that has no interest in extending it any further.
Right. Bill, can you specifically say that this will not cost the Lewistown Borough more than $20,000?
I can't guarantee anything, but we're trying to keep the cost down.
I understand you're trying to keep the cost down.
I mean, the whole issue is, I tried to put this in a format that is easy, it's simple to make it, there's very little cost direct up front to the county, to the thing. I mean, this is a gamble. I don't even know, I have to go after 2 grant applications. We're not even charging you for doing this. If you went to a consultant, they would charge you for this. I mean, we're talking about over $500,000 project for the borough. Now, I don't see that as a bad investment, but maybe you do, I don't know.
It's an investment in our future.
So the vote tonight would be the agreement and the maintaining essentially wouldn't be to.
Right, we're not looking for money at this point.
And Larry, you know, if you, I didn't say you had to put money into this right now. I mean, it would be nice if you did, but you know, if I can't find the $20,000 at this point, it's not going anywhere anyway. But I can't even get a survey authorized until you say this. That's the key point. So.
Correct.
And he's pressured for time, too.
I do. I mean, these
Yeah.
are 2 applications. One is due in April and one is due in May. I've
Right.
said this before. I'm running out of time, and if I
Yes.
don't do this, we're done.
We're already taking care of the existing, correct?
I didn't hear you, Mark.
We're already taking care of the existing, right?
Correct. Correct.
I mean, I don't know, I think it would be a step in the right direction to take the step, and then he can
Go from there.
seek funding to move forward. But to even go to that point, I mean, we have to do this. If it,
Well, that's
we don't
why
have
I
to do
said, that's
anything,
why in
but-
finance, he was to get back to seeking additional contributions, because then it went from the 53 down to the 25, and then there's 23 out in the open.
Right, what I'm understanding
For us
is.
And my guess is that the people he's going to, and you can correct me if I'm
Correct.
wrong,
Need this
but without this
Right.
survey, people don't know, so they may not even be willing to
And that's
give
why I
money.
told him to come back.
Well, actually, Mr. Hershey said they needed, in order to get it through the state legislature for the fire academy.
The survey.
Yes,
Right.
so that's,
Okay.
I think he told you that.
So that's step one, we gotta have the survey done
And I-
before we can do anything
And
else.
that was news to me about that part, but the survey helps us better define the parameters of the trail, because it looks at the topographic issues, because we were talking about, it does go down and some other issues, but it helps.
On the premise that we agree with this, that we're gonna.
Correct,
maintain-
that we're gonna maintain it.
Extension.
So, Mark said, yeah, I think there's other places where we can address with monies right now.
Right,
Rather than-
but in order to get to a point to see if
This is even
he
viable.
can get it funded outside of us,
Yeah.
we have to make this step. It's not signing on to spend the $20,000 or $25,000.
Correct.
I just can't accept maintaining it, I can't, I'm sorry.
That's all you, you're entitled to your opinion, so, but. does
It
anyone
always
know-
happens, we get sold something, then we have to maintain it, and then it's cost us a lot of money.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
I mean, I'll make the motion to see where we go and see. I mean, we're not making a motion to spend money here tonight. We're making a motion essentially, the way I understand it, is to see if, he has to know this before he can see if he can get the funding.
What I think what you're
Outside
looking
of
for
this.
is a motion to enter into the memorandum of understanding as amended with the county regarding the acceptance of the walking trail and the easement and maintaining it once it's completed.
And if we end up with, I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry.
And authorizing the borough officials, I guess authorize Venus to sign the same as amended.
And I mean, if we end up with this size or this value, I'll say, of a project, for just, I mean, the ability for the borough to maintain it, I don't know. I think it's a good investment into our community. I mean, fiscal conservatism is not always about not spending dollars, it's about investing in the community the right ways.
I could add something too. We already maintained probably a quarter of a mile. We already mow up to the Juniata concrete, so we already maintained some of that
So
that he's
you-
asking for.
So you're saying you maintain where this trail would be?
Not
as
all
is?
of it. To the concrete plant, we already mowed.
There's a small segment between where the trail stops and where the concrete plant starts. It's still owned by the borough, I think that's, is that right? So that's still, that's all also part of this too.
Well, I mean, I made the motions, so we see where it goes.
Okay, I'm gonna step down and I'll second that motion. Discussion? Okay. Can we get a roll call?
Frank Berry, oh, he's not here. Dave Campbell.
Yes.
Jim Thelma.
No.
Harry Seer.
No.
Mark Severs.
Yes.
Bill Wilson.
No.
Venus Shape.
Yes.
Ms. Ty.
The mayor has to break the tie.
My vote is yes.
Thank you. Please keep us posted.
I have one other small thing that's on the agenda.
Oh, gosh,
I-
you're killing me here.
I'm trying to get this done quickly. You were at the Parks and Recreation Council meeting, Venus?
I was.
And this came up, this other little minor project. We're talking about $500. Remember that discussion?
Vaguely.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I do remember that.
Okay. And since the chairman of the Parks and Recreation Council is here tonight, Marie's here, so she's, but anyway, I got told the Parks and Recreation Council is interested in trying to facilitate more opportunities, and one of the recommendations of the open space plan was to look at making a connection between Victory Park, the Rec Park, to Kish Park. This proposal would do a feasibility study to see if that's even feasible or not. I've broken down the cost of the proposal, and as you see, I have it broken down how it would be paid for. Then most of the cost is, the only cost I'm asking for the borough is if you would make a $500 donation toward this study. This will look at whether this can even be workable. I think even downtown Lewistown's asked about this at one time. Is that correct? Is that right, Tim?
Yes, because it connects the existing boroughs.
So downtown Lewistown, right? So this is the way to look at how this, if this is even workable. This is also would look. There's also a segment you'll see on the back side of the map that they'd also look at the connection along the river connecting with Stone Arch Bridge. It's a $15,000 cost, which is a relatively good cost for doing this whole thing. And you'll see that the Parks and Recreation Council is also donating $1,100 to this thing. And the Dairy Township's already approved making a $500 donation. I'm going to ask the commissioners to put money into this, and we're going to apply for rec tap money, which, as Scott will recall, they paid for that little mini study on doing upgrades to the rec park that were done a few years ago. It's a pretty good deal. We can make this work. So I'm just asking whether you'll make this contribution toward this proposal.
And this would connect Kish Park, Rec Park, and Victory Park is what they're looking at,
Yeah,
correct?
and the thing is, when they looked at this globally, it looked like it was doable, but when you start getting on the ground, you need to look at how it really works. And without getting on the ground like this is the only way we'll find out. So, and right now, this is just to see whether it will work or not. It's not anything else. And that's what the purpose of the study. And so, all we're asking for is a contribution of $500 for this.
Madam Chairman, could I have the floor for a minute?
Absolutely.
I'd like to speak as the chair and a resident again. The Mifflin County Parks and Recreation Advisory Board has been working very hard to work collaboratively on things that make the whole community, the whole county, and it's been very beneficial to unique municipalities. This is another project similar to the boat launch where it was specific to two municipalities, but we all work together, and a lot of us that enjoy the outdoors like that boat ramp. So I think this trail project is another thing where we could really enhance the county, but we all need to work together. So as a resident, I think it's a small investment, and I hope you seriously consider that to be part of the project. It will make it more difficult for us to move forward with funding if Lewistown Borough isn't at the table. And sometimes being at the table means you gotta put a little meat skin in the game. So I hope you give that careful consideration.
Does anybody have any questions for Bill? Anybody want to make a motion? Okay, I'll step down and make the motion that we give Bill $500 for his feasibility study.
I'll second for discussion.
Discussion.
What kind of time frame is something like this? I mean, where,
It was,
the
well,
feasibility study, I mean, what's the time frame of that itself?
oh, well, first I gotta do this is some steps in this. I've gotta apply for this Rec Tap grant program, which takes 2 or 3 months to get that approved, which I think they'll approve. Then we have about a 4 to 5 month window for them to do the study, so it'll be done this year. So,
Then, I tell you, there's a lot of geographical obstacles here.
Correct.
I mean,
I know, and that's the whole issue, is how to, if even parts of it can work. And we won't know that until we look at this. So,
And this is just to look at it.
and to, I mean, have we given any type of idea or thought as to a time frame to do this? I mean,
well, it's
beyond
like,
say all
no.
goes well.
No, well, part of the study will look at the cost and how it could be done. Even though we done anything on the trail, it was always proposed in phases. So even if you did this, it might be in phases. I don't know. But, like I said, but it's not, it can be done this year, the study will be. Just the question, it may be a while before we can financially make it work. I don't know, because we don't know that until we get the numbers and all how it breaks down. And the one thing, not Venus, but and Yost, who's done stuff for us before, is very knowledgeable area. And like I said, that's why I think, like I said, if you went to a larger firm, it'd be a lot more than this. So, I think it's at least worth it, to try to find out how it works. I mean, I grant you, David, it is a gamble how this will work. I mean, they may find out there's too many obstacles to make it all connect, but it may connect parts of it. I mean, but I've been hearing, you might say something, Jim? Okay, well, you want to say, I mean, this has been discussed by DLI for a long time, am I correct?
Well, I'll add that in 2000, downtown Lewistown put together the charter plan, and the charter plan called for the connection of Rec Park to Victory Park. We've got the Kish Riverwalk to South Main Street at this point. If we can see the connection geographically with getting from South Main to Victory Park, that's going to be a big part, big victory. And the more we connect, the more, the longer the distance as far as the trail, the more value it has. And at that point, you may see other municipalities, already Derry's on board, they see the value. You could see the value coming from Granville at that point, knowing that citizens are using it, it's developing, it's a real community asset. I've gone to many rail trails. I biked on the Gap Trail, which is a great Allegheny passage which connects Pittsburgh to Washington. I want to tell you, that has really transformed a number of communities in those areas. So from our standpoint, we've been very interested trying to move this forward, especially looking at the connection to both Stone Arch Bridge as well as with Victory Park and Rec Park. And again, we studied this with the feasibility study probably about 10 years ago. A number of those recommendations were also put forward in this most recent Juniata River trail. So for $500, I don't think you can go wrong.
Yes, John?
Just something to consider here is that, when, you did the Monument Square project for downtown Lewistown, and then we saw individual investments happen because of that. So that little bit of seed money that you did there for Bill to get the grant for that spurred other development, and you can say whatever you want about our downtown, but what you can't say is that it's dirty and it's trashy
you can't say that at all. It's cleaned up, it's presentable, has a lot of great areas in it, and, you know, you compare it to other downtowns in the Commonwealth, we're on the plus side of this. Now, if there's something you're missing here, is that when this highway gets done from State College, okay, and there's a migration for residents of State College or where they want to live, they're going to start looking at how they want to live their lives, you know, and do they want to be near an area that has walking trails and that has a nice downtown and has this and that. So while we sit here and say, oh, we you know, why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. Well, you know, you get busy living, you get busy dying, okay? And so if we don't spur this stuff, that when this migration happens, they'll probably, I mean, you're really competing against Brown Township here for people, because that's where people might want to live. And so if you want to, you know, present a case for yourself, you're going to have to show that the quality of life here in the town, in the borough, is great, and we have a lot to offer. And it's going to start by doing these little projects and trying to find a way to make them work. You know, and obviously Bill is you know, worked so hard to get the money from the state, but you know, we got to step forward and really consider what the long-term effect of saying no to this stuff is.
Thank you. Someone else had a hand up? I know, I saw two. Okay. Well, we got a motion on the table. And a second. No? What's that? I made a
Campbell
motion.
seconded.
You seconded it for discussion. Now we just need to vote, so. Roll call?
Is there any way we can get this $500 cut in half for $250? No. Not at all.
That's not negotiable.
Hey, doesn't hurt to ask, doesn't hurt.
That's why I have the money tonight.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Jim,
Yeah,
on that note,
it's advertising.
would BLI be willing to split it with us?
I think we may be interested in entertaining something like that.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes, that's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
He has to go to the board to get approval.
Well, I would,
So
I have some discretion in that. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
We would do that.
So does that change our motion?
You can amend your motion.
Okay. So it was my motion, so I can amend my motion that we give Bill $250 with DLI kicking in the other $250.
or whoever I can get the 250.
Oh, Jim already said he'd do it. I heard him. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, Bill.
He's writing the check right now.
To do the feasibility study on Victory Park, Rec Park, and Kish Park. So that's my amended motion.
And I will second the amended motion.
Okay. Now, do we have any discussion on the amended motion? Okay, let's vote. Roll call?
Dave Gamble,
Yes.
Jim Felmley,
No.
Larry Sear,
No.
Mark Severs,
Yes.
Bill Wilson,
No.
Venus Shade.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Could you not come back for a while?
Believe me,
It's great to see you and all, but. Okay, now we can move forward. Oh, sorry, thanks. Was there anyone else that wanted to speak? Ron? Yes, I see. Mr. Panizzo, welcome.
Hey, thanks for hearing me, Venus and board. I apologize for abruptly just coming here, and I apologize, Scott, for not giving a heads up. I can't make it to the next rec board meeting, but I knew I was available tonight because of the weather, canceled some stuff, so I wanted to come here and discuss our discussions about the facility use for the ball fields, some concerns and stuff I had, so if you wanna just bring them up to that.
We had a rec board meeting a week ago, well, I guess it was last Monday night, last Tuesday night. And the rec board would like to see the baseball field used, the Little League fields used in the summertime for tournaments. And they had asked me to come back to John and Bill and let them know that the rec board, their thoughts were to, right now, Little League locks the fields up from, let's say, March 1st until the end of October.
Yep.
And their request of the Little League was to have 2 seasons. One which would be their spring ball, so March 1st until, I think their season ends the middle of June. And then have the second season, which would be like the middle of August until the end of October. So there would be that window of opportunity for tournaments for anybody to use those fields during the summer months. So I called John on Wednesday morning and, you know, we discussed this. John had a meeting with his staff, or they actually had a meeting planned for Little League on Wednesday evening. And, you know, we had a good discussion. One of the reasons that the lights were put in were for the purpose of tournaments. And Little League Baseball is already scheduled, I think there's 2 tournaments in July and 1 possibly in August.
And 2 in June. 2 in June.
2 in June and 1 in July.
Yeah.
Okay.
During that time period, yes.
So it's kind of, we've kind of extended this long season to them, and now we want to kind of reel it in. And that's where he was going to check with their board and see what their thoughts were.
So you understand, because of the weather, you know, we really can't start till March. And then our season ends the first, second week of June, depending on the weather. And then we do one of our big fundraisers. We actually have a tournament in April also, but we do a big one in Father's Day weekend in June. We've submitted to the state to have district play here for all teams pretty much from here to Flood City, Johnstown area. So the district tournaments will be here, and that'll be the end of June. Plus, we have our all-star teams that are using the fields for training to get ready for states, which is usually the first, second week of July. We do have a tournament the 3rd week of July. And sometimes we do a tournament the 1st week of August. Then we take a couple weeks off, and then we start up with fall ball, and we run that to October. So when we talk about usage, you know, we're there. You know, if someone wanted to use it for a tournament, you know, I feel like just be easier to you know, as they have in the past, hey, when can we find a date that makes it work? And we try to find a time in there and schedule it in. Another concern, one of the concerns I have is if it's for softball, these are baseball fields, okay? They have mounds on them where most softball fields are flat. The county, the borough actually has softball fields, and the ones at the high school, the old Lewistown High School. So the last time we let a softball team use them, they ripped up the mounds because they needed to lower them to accommodate their pitchers, and then they also hit a lot. There was a lot of ruts also that they created in the batter's box because of it. So I mean, if we're doing a facility use fee for a next period of time that ends, let's say, the end of June, and then you allow someone to use it, then when we get it back, I mean, who's fixing this? Who's fixing these things? Like when you rent the community center, you know, the next facility use has it ready to go. So I mean, these are things I don't know if they've been thought out. You know, who's going to take care of it between these contracts? You know, and the other thing is we do take care of those fields for the borough. I mean, we spend a lot of time down there. We put our money on those infields. I mean, Diamond Tech costs 2 loads is like $1,000. You know, we put it on down there. You know, we take care of it. There was vandalism this year. we didn't come to your board and say, hey, you need to fix this up, someone vandalized your property. We took care of that ourselves. We're getting ready to add security cameras to it. I think we've approached the rec board before about that we, at our cost, wanted to pay to fix up the bathrooms, because we knew that was an issue, and that kind of got turned down at the time, but we're still willing to do that. So, I mean, if you guys want to do these facility uses for every time we use it, then every time we get it back, I think there's a standard that you guys are going to have to spend money to get it back to the standard that we have it in, because we've invested money in these fields. And we don't have no problem at all. We have no problem at all if someone wants to have a tournament and we open up the schedule and see when we could accommodate it and make it work. But, you know, just to let anybody use it, you know, when we're putting the money into these fields, unless you guys want to put the money into all the fields and do all that work, and then you can rent it out all you want. But that, I mean, that's just our position, and we're concerned about that. You know, because our relationship is more of owning. Like, we treat it like it's our own, but you're asking us to treat it like we're a tenant, and that's a different relationship. You know, that's a different relationship.
Well, not to interrupt, John, but I mean, those contracts should have like normal wear and tear in between uses and stuff in that contract. That if they're being rented out, that they're taken care of, like whoever's, you know, we're renting that to.
You're talking.
Why can't we make this for Little League Baseball only?
I mean, that's the way it was set up. This was.
Wouldn't that resolve the softball part?
Well, it is based for baseball, so it is for youth baseball.
Well, then what's the problem? I mean, why can't we say we're not gonna allow softball on there?
That's what I'm
This was some concerns of several of the members of the rec board, Larry.
And my understanding, because I sit on the rec board,
Yeah.
was that the discussion was, are we missing out on additional revenues? And not just revenues per se, but how is the field being utilized as it should be? Because you did spend all that money on the lights. Let's bring other people in here, let's get tournaments going or whatever. You know, that's the possibility.
It sounds like that's what's happening.
Yeah, if they're doing, if
So
they're
2
doing
years ago, we
that,
had the
that's
state
fine.
tournament here on the last minute thing. 2 years ago, we had the state tournament here, and now we're on the hook to get the district tournament. So the district tournament is 8U, these are full tournaments at each age group. An 8U tournament, a 9U, which is 9 and under, 8 and under, a 10 and under, an 11 under, and a 12 of under. So, I mean, we're looking to try to house them also there. Plus the Father's Day tournament, we run in 30 teams from outside the area. Only 3 within a 30-mile radius. The other 27 were outside the 30-mile radius. So, you know, every time we do these tournaments, we are bringing in people, but...
Well, and as you said, John, I think that's some of the deal, that maybe rec board doesn't know what's occurring.
Yeah, I
And
believe
it's
that.
an informational issue that maybe if we knew,
I agree
the
with
issue
that.
wouldn't have come up.
I agree with that, and that's why I wanted to come here, just to explain a little bit of what really is going on down there, you know? And then in the fall, when the fall kicks off, we do a countywide league for fall ball, and we do a tournament and inviting teams from State College and other areas to come down, and we do a tournament, and then we do a countywide tournament also in October. So like it is being used. I mean, if this is about a facility fee or something like that, that's a different discussion, but.
John, you have to pay a fee to use each field,
Yep.
am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, then why don't we just have the ruling that they're in charge of those fields?
Well, that's how it
See,
is now, Larry.
that's the way it is now, and what, this was the feeling of the rec board, is that
That there's a
they
spring
pay
season and a fall
$200
season.
from March 1st until the end of October. And rec board's feeling was that they could get a fee for teams that wanted to use it for tournaments, they could get a fee for the spring ball, they could get a fee for the fall ball, that was the thinking.
Well, but we've already consented the field's basically over to.
No, we didn't, not yet, not this year.
Yeah, but historically speaking, I think is
Historically,
what
you have,
Larry
yes.
means. I mean, these guys have
How
taken
can we ask you
I
this?
mean, they can't come to us and ask us to schedule a tournament because we can't do it, he's already got
Correct.
stuff lined up. So they're gonna be in charge of it, why can't we just say, hey, you have to talk to them
And
and.
that's traditionally what we've done.
Vina, let me ask you a question.
Still missing out on something.
Are we looking to create more facility use fees
I don't know. All I know is that I think that's some of the thought that, you know, we could get more monies from the use if it's open.
Like, how much you thinking?
Oh, I have.
Like, I mean, do you guys have a goal, like?
No, there was no goal. It was just mentioned that it's quite the bargain that is given, that is gotten for $200 for the whole 6 months that it's essentially tied up by.
But they're doing a lot of.
they're doing a lot of work.
Yeah, we pay all the fees on that.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, and I just want them
I'm
to realize that.
presenting
Yeah,
it to
I'm not-
you as it was
So-
presented, so.
Maybe they don't understand.
Well, and that's what I said, I
And then
think it's a
they
different.
need to
That's
come
the
in and talk to
problem.
council and otherwise.
No, I think John and his group needs to come explain that to rec board better as to what is going on, so they know that the fields are being used.
We brought the finance as well.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, we
John, I'm
don't know
not
about
sure,
that.
I mean, how far or where you or anybody else involved thinks this is going or has gone, but this has never been a discussion.
No.
Finance committee, this has
Yeah,
never been a
no,
discussion.
I didn't, I'm not here to create a problem.
No.
It was the only time I could just
Right,
talk
and I'm
about
just
it.
giving you
That-
the
that's all.
information that
Yeah.
was available.
And the way it was left with John was,
Yeah.
you need to come to our rec
Yes.
board meeting so we can
And
get
he
this
can't.
ironed out.
And
So
and
he's
I
here
Otherwise,
can't,
he's gonna be
we're
out
gonna
of
send
town.
somebody, but I personally wanted just to share those thoughts and stuff.
Well, then I think we need to inform rec board that that's the way it's gonna be, that.
Well, we had the facility use form to approve
Right.
tonight on our list.
Is this what
We're gonna do everything
you and
they need,
myself
they
and
need to
Bill
have a
Ersol were kind of touching on
No, no,
a
no,
few
no,
weeks
no.
ago in your office?
No, there is a
Have a
need,
rec board.
there is a need to have a rec board,
We have
Jim.
somebody trying
He's
to-
just here because he
Yeah,
can't
okay.
make it to the next rec board meeting, so he's letting us know now.
Is
That's
somebody
all.
gonna be able to make that meeting on the first?
He said someone.
Yeah, someone will, I just won't
If you
myself.
could have them bring dates of your
And I'll-
tournaments and everything that's going on.
Maybe I should bring like an expenditure list to show the rec board really our expenditures are greater
I
than
don't even think it was
just
about
so they know.
expense, it
Well,
was,
I mean,
this is a
just-
beautiful park, let's have it used.
Yes, yeah,
That's where I think it lies.
you know, and we do leave it open when we're not there. Like when we don't have game stuff, it's open and kids go there with their dads and stuff. I mean, and they're ready to play, with, you know, it's mowed, it's taken care of for them, you know, already at our expense and stuff.
Right.
All you have to do is go to Burger King in the summertime and see all those different colored uniforms.
Yeah.
And you know darn well it's being used.
It's nice to see all those kids down there.
Yeah.
No, it is, it is.
It is.
So,
Okay,
but,
so, yeah, have someone come to rec board and
Thanks.
appreciate
Hey,
that.
you guys have a great day.
Thank
But
you.
if you want
Careful
more
out there.
money, I could ask the line to split it with me.
That would be great.
All right, 'cause, you know, if you got money out
Go
of
to
Jim,
the next
I'm
deal,
gonna reach
I-
out there too. No, but-
It doesn't hurt to
Jim, you did a
ask.
good thing. All right, you did a good thing.
Go to the next
Take
meeting.
care, guys.
Meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, it did. So take care, guys.
Thanks.
How you doing?
Okay, anybody else wish to speak tonight? Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. Anything anyone would like to pull out of the consent agenda for discussion? And you'll see that the youth baseball facility use form request is on there to be approved, and we did get their certificate of liability, so we're good to go with them.
I couldn't imagine allowing anybody to infringe upon what these guys do with our fields.
I don't really don't think that was the intention.
Okay.
Yeah, because the one thing that they talked about is Little League Baseball would get whatever fee they wanted to charge for the usage of the
electricity.
lights during a tournament.
Right, so it wasn't, it was,
Little
isn't
League,
utilized.
Little League would get the right, the first right to provide the concessions if they were gonna have a tournament.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it wasn't like just cutting them
push 'em
out.
out,
It was
no.
just taking advantage of the facilities to generate more traffic for the community.
yeah. Anything on the consent agenda? Okay.
Make a motion, we accept.
Motion properly made and second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Regular agenda, and Diana finally left for her vacation. So Mr. Wellham will be giving us Diana's treasure.
We're
You're
gonna
not
try.
near as pretty.
No, we're gonna try. I don't know. I've never done this before. Okay, so I need some approvals of CDBG funds to be released. So I thought what I would do is run through what I need released, and then we'll just have a motion and a second to approve this if you so desire. The first one is for, let's see what this is for. It's for $1,470. It's for Monument Square Streetscape Project. So that one is one, so that's $1470.45. The second one is for $146.98.
These all go, this goes to the Eads group.
Yeah, that was for the Eads group. This is for Mifflin County Commissioners. This is fourth quarter 2018 material and supplies reimbursements, $146.98, because they take care of our CDBG money. It's not like we're giving them money. They get a percentage of that. It's 15%. This is for the commissioners. This is for administration of 2016 funds and the Spring Street paving with 2017 funds in the amount of $7,014.50. And the last one is for to J. Falk Road and Sons for the paving of South Wayne and Spring Streets. And that's to the tune of, there's 15 funds of $49,212, 16 funds of $16,368, Spring Street, 16 funds of $23,809, and Spring Street, 17 funds of $55,659, a total of $145,050.27. Looking for approval to pay those CDBG bills.
No move.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the only thing else I need is approval to bid out several vehicles. We have a 1984 Chevy truck that doesn't run, it can't move, mileage is 54,000.
Oh, that's a heck of a.
I think she was supposed to take those off because
Oh, she was?
we have to look into who actually owns them. They were vehicles that were brought down there for training purposes.
All right, so those two Chevy trucks?
If it's the one she was talking to me about earlier today, unless these are different ones.
We don't know.
Tim?
Yes.
Do you know anything about that 84 Chevy truck or the 88 Chevy truck?
Not too much, I mean.
Are they in the back, way in the
Yeah,
back?
they're back in the backyard.
So they're part of the police department stuff?
The 84 Chevy truck is a crew cab,
That's probably what used to belong to the streets.
and the 88 is a crew cab as well.
So they're not the things that were donated for the police department to practice
The
on?
donated ones were a Chevy Corsica, there's
Okay.
a van
They're
back
different
there.
ones then.
And then what is the Smith salt spreader, Tim?
That's the salt spreader we had on the T-tag at the wastewater treatment plant. We received, isn't it? That's one of the-
It's a removable salt spreader to go in the back of a T-tag.
It's 2001.
Yes,
So you want to get rid of that, is that?
yes.
Correct.
And then there's the refuse, the old Dale truck.
The 2004
Forest
7400.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we're looking for permission to put bids out for those vehicles and the
Okay,
salt
so
spreader.
You read off the 84 Chevy truck and the mileage, what were the other ones, Scott?
88 Chevy truck, the same thing. It does run, but not well, and the mileage is 90,419. And we have a 2004 International 7400 with a 20-yard garbage packer body, and it has 100,000 miles on it. And then a 2001 Smith salt spreader.
Make a motion, we put them out for bids.
Well, does anybody look to see what kind of value these vehicles bring? That we could say the minimum bid needs to be this or that when it comes in, or what?
You think a Borough's
And what are we,
auctioning anything off is worth anything?
and what are we,
Yeah, I do.
What, the thing is,
We
what
should have the
are
right
you
to reject
gonna,
all bids.
Well, I was gonna ask too, if there's.
What are you gonna do with them?
Put specs in like that.
I'm just saying, I mean, are we
We
looking
should have the
at
right to
that?
reject all bids if we need to.
What's that? Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
then you gotta
So we
spend the
should
money
have
to
that information when we
re-advertise.
open the bid.
Mm-hmm.
But then you would have to spend money to re-advertise if you reject all bids. I mean, so I mean, they're not gonna go for a lot of money. The only thing that could go for a lot of money is that 2004
International.
International.
That's what I'm talking about.
But I'm hoping that the demand for something, I mean, we've already had inquiries on that garbage truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a motion.
Gail bid on it.
Does he miss it?
You know, I talked to him, that he was in to see me today, and he didn't realize how bad that truck was until he got the new one.
How bad?
So we have a motion, need a
I'll
second.
second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, that's the treasurer's
That's
report.
it. Mr. Fink?
Last month, there was 46 violations, issued 18 zoning permits, compared to 27 last year. We issued 13 sidewalk permits compared to 12 last year. Zoning fees collected was $1,435.89, and compared to $8,253 last year.
And that's just for January?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then $390 in sidewalk permits this year versus $170 last year. And we did have, I'm sure you all know, we had a traffic accident, a vehicle into a house today. The house had sustained significant structural damage. And then Bob's gonna finish his report, what finished out at the scene.
Okay.
If I may,
Sure.
you were done, Rex?
Yeah.
Okay, so, question about the taxi station on Valley Street. It was my understanding there was an emergency incident there, and when they went in, they found the place to be rather rough aside of the fire incident.
I was in there and I spoke to the owner and said, no one's allowed in here until this place is fixed up.
And that's outside of the fire
Right.
incident, correct?
But then they didn't quite listen to my order, so I went up today and had to post it and put them out because I got reports they were using space heaters in there, propane space heaters to heat the place.
Okay. And you're
So
already on it?
It is now condemned.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Chief?
Okay, Madam President. Last Monday at the Borough Fire Committee meeting, it was requested of me to come up with a more detailed report for each individual company's activities. I'm working on that and I'll have one of those for you next month.
Thank you.
But with that being said, in the month of January, the 3 stations ran a total of 28 alarms. A lot of that was weather related, with cold weather, high winds, electrical problems, a few minor fires, and a lot of motor vehicle accidents. We ran into several incidents where we ran into houses with no heat, no water because of the weather conditions. Each time we notified Rex, Rex came up and dealt with it. And also, Rex touched on a little bit ago, this morning at 8:16 a.m. we was dispatched to a car in the structure up the corner of 4th and Bratton Avenue. Had no idea what to look for when we got there or what I was going to see when we got there. But upon arrival, the police department advised me that there's nobody in the building. Fortunately, everybody is out of the building. But we did have a lot of problems. The vehicle went directly through the 4th Street side of the building, clear inside. When Engine 11 arrived in the scene, we had them deploy hand lines out in case of fire. Rescue 14 came in. They used stabilizing jacks to support the building so it wouldn't collapse. By the way, 2 of them was damaged in the process. In the meantime, before we could do too much of anything, we got Penelec and the utility companies in to disconnect electricity and what have you, because if the building did collapse, it was going to tear down power lines to other properties, and also the safety of the personnel. Some people wondered why we had 4th Street blocked off so long, but until we got Penelec there, we set up a safety perimeter, which stretched out to 4th Street and wouldn't leave traffic through and what have you because of the unsafe conditions. But everything went rather well after all said and done. The insurance adjuster is there already. He'll have his final numbers in by the end of the week. And it already looks like the damage is more than the insurance policy is. Also, last week at the fire committee meeting, we touched on the consultant's report. We had a pretty good meeting, I thought. You was there. But I know since that, the individual companies have been talking among themselves. We have department meetings set up, workshop meetings set up to discuss this farther down the road. They are working. Any questions?
Nice to see things moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm just glad no one was there today to get hurt in that house.
Nobody hurt tonight. If school would have been delayed for 2 hours, there would probably been 2 kids in the front room. Oh, with that being said, Red Cross also took in 4 residents today and are putting them up.
Great. Okay. Mayor.
You see on the agenda that I need to talk to you about the 18 years that I've been in elective office, first as council and then mayor. I've been on the Dr. Parcells Trust Fund Committee. And it was the understanding that the Juniata Valley Bank was the trustee of the money that the doctor had left. And only to find out, I got a call early December from the trust department, and they asked to meet with me, and we met the latter part of December. That when they did a research of the will, they found out that the borough is actually the trustee of this Dr. Parcells Trust. There's $112,000 in there. Over the years that I've been involved with it, and in the will, on his will, I got a partial copy of it, it had stated that the money, there was property that was to be sold, and that money was to be put into a trust that would assist poor people in the Lewistown borough with clothing, food, that sort of thing. Somewhere along the line, the committee, it's a 5-member committee, somewhere long before I started in it, had decided to take this money and use it as a loan or a grant for anyone who is entering the medical field. They could borrow $2,000 a year and pay it back 6 months after they graduate at a 3% interest. Right now, there's seven outstanding loans that people are paying on. So what they said to me was, did the borough want to take over the trust, to manage the trust, to do everything that they have been doing all along? I took this situation to a finance committee, and I explained to them there's a lot involved in it. And I said to the gentleman at the trust, in the trust department, if we would want you to continue doing it, you know, what would our responsibility be? And they had told me that our responsibility would be first to have the 5, you know, organize another board with 5 people on it. It has to always be 5 people. We would have to try to do a little bit of advertising, and I know over the years that I've done, all we did was take like flyers and applications to all the schools and the nursing, School of Nursing, just to get the word out. And then if anybody wanted an application, they would contact me, and I would see that they got an application. And then those applications came back to the board, we would review them, and then decide whether or not we thought they were a good risk. And they said they would actually handle the money so that we wouldn't, because if we took it over, we'd have to go before the Attorney General's office. We'd have to petition the court. There would be a lot of process that we would have to go through. And I said, well, would you continue doing that if we would take on the responsibility of the board and the applications? And over the years that they've been doing it, they are paid $800 a year that comes out of the trust. And that's what they would require. So I'm coming to you, do we want to be responsible for this as far as the funding is concerned? The money part, going to the Attorney General's office and petitioning the court and doing all the process that we have to do to take it from them to us. Or do we want to pick up the responsibility, of which I would do, and hopefully anybody that would come after me would also do, is to establish the board and take care of the applications, to review them like we've been doing all these years.
Does it work now?
Does it work now? Yeah, it does work now.
Here's my, I mean, before you take any action on that, I'd like the opportunity to review.
The will.
Yeah, the will and the documents. I don't understand why, I'd like to see what's going on.
What happened where?
Yeah, and also, I mean, as the mayor alluded to, the Attorney General is what they call parents patria over all charitable trusts. I guess they are okay with lending money to people out of this charitable trust? I don't know. I mean, it raises some questions to me, like what happens if the people don't pay the money back?
Well, they continue going after them, that's the thing. I mean, I know there is one where you do have a problem with.
I mean, usually if you're holding those kind of funds, you want to have them in like the safest possible type investments.
Right.
And, my question is, it's just lending it to somebody to go to nursing school or something, a good investment of trust corpus? Possibly not. So, I mean,
Well, being a JVP, I'm sure it's pretty conservative. They're probably in a balanced fund, so they're not.
but no, this money is being lent out to just people on the street.
But the applications, I mean, you have the backing of the parents, and the applications are looked over thoroughly before a decision is made. But like I say, there is one loan we have a little bit of trouble with, but we keep working on it. And the other ones, are pretty regular at what they're doing, their payments. But I mean, it's a great opportunity because I myself have gotten applications for different people, and they're very appreciative of being able to, because that money took care of books, and it was a big help to them. So, and it can be any, like a pharmacist, it can be any type of medical position.
But
Mark, if you want to, that's not a problem.
My question is, if the doctor left the money for the care of the poor and needy,
How did this happen?
is this
Yeah,
consistent with his wishes? And I think
Well,
that's a
like I said,
very big question.
I make a motion that we have Mark take a look at this and then come back to us with a report.
You want to do that?
Yep.
Yep, I'll second it.
All right.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Alright.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Okay. Chief Clemens?
Okay, statistics for January, we had 442 calls for service in January, 48 traffic citations, 16 non-traffic, and 2 written warnings. Incidents are up a little bit, but we've changed a little bit in our reporting system on how things are reported, so overall, I think I don't think there's an uptick in crime or anything. It's just a matter of how we're reporting things and recording them, so that's why the incidents are up a little bit this month. This Friday, the 15th, we're having a coffee with the cop event at East End Coffee Company on Market Street. It's going to be from 11:30 to 12:30. So, anybody's welcome to stop in. We'll have officers there to speak with you, and it doesn't have to be about police business. It can be about anything. Just and stop in, we'll be there at least during that hour. And we'll hopefully try to do more of those events throughout the year, but this is the first one, and so we're hoping people show up to.
When's that, Dave?
Friday, this coming Friday, from 11:30 to 12:30. We'll try to do it at different hours, and sometimes, in speaking with Ryan at the East End Coffee Company, he thought that would be a good time, because people aren't in as much of a rush at that point. Early in the morning, he thought people were more rushed to get where they're going, so that's why we picked that time for now. And like I said, in the future, we may do some in the evenings or different times so that different people can come. Also in January, we hosted a standard field sobriety testing refresher course, and that was given by one of our officers, Kyle Garrity, and another instructor from Manheim Township, and that's through the Pennsylvania DUI Association. And Kyle is an instructor for them. And we had it down at the rec center. We had officers from DCNR, from Fish and Boat Commission, from the Sheriff's Office, and some of our officers participated in that. So. And Sergeant Roberts also attended a 2-week executive leadership course over in Center County, given by Penn State. He completed that in January as well. So there's just some things we were doing. And then we need to discuss the issue of a new police vehicle. We've taken it before the Finance Committee, several different meetings with them. And there was a motion and a second to present to council, so we can discuss that. The vehicle we're looking at is a police interceptor utility. Ford no longer makes the Interceptor sedan like the one we purchased in 2017. They're going into all SUVs at this point. They have a new one they're coming out with this year, which is a hybrid. So we looked at that. Looked at other options. Basically, we felt this was the most economical, and over time we'll say it was a good bet. According to the calculations with the hybrid, because of the idling time and so forth, based on $2.65 a gallon, they're estimating that our fuel savings per year will be $3,485. So we're looking at going with the hybrid, and they're going to start making them in May, and they won't be out until August or September. But at this point, they no longer make the sedans. You can't even get a leftover at this point. We've checked with different dealerships, and there just aren't any out there. They're just not making them anymore, and this is what they're going to. So.
How much was the hybrid, Dave?
Our CoStar's price, and this is through Lake, is $36,632. We do have two vehicles that we're looking to trade in. The values they gave us on those, for the one was $6,000, and for the other one was $1,250. So the final cost we're looking at is $29,382.
And that's to purchase?
That's the buy outright, right?
That's to buy it outright. Now,
What's the lease?
We had budgeted for a lease in the budget, and that's what we need to discuss, what your wishes are there. $10,728 per year for 3 years is a lease. Over the life of the lease, I think we estimated it would be an additional $2,800 over the total purchase price if we purchased it straight out. So the lease is costing us $2,800.
Yeah, so I mean, on the budget, it's based on 2 vehicles and a lease payment. But what the chief is saying is they don't have them in the sedans anymore, so that's why he's got the price on the SUV. So it's a matter of, are we gonna purchase it outright, or are we going to lease it? So we're already making one lease payment already, which is how much, Scott?
It's roughly $9,000.
Okay, so we have two two leases at $9,075 apiece for two. So it's a matter of, again, doing a lease on this SUV or doing an outright purchase of it. So on the lease, Chief, is there anything, do we own a lease after 3 years, or?
Yes, you have the option to purchase after 3 years. I think it's $1. You can purchase it for $1.
Okay.
So basically, you own it up to the 3-year lease.
So also on this, we have to have a cage in this as well, correct?
Yes.
So, having said that, is that something that's bolted to the floor, or how does that work when there's?
Yeah, they're bolted into the floor and into the pillars.
Okay.
So they're secured in there.
What was finance's recommendation?
Well, we agreed to purchase, we're in agreement to purchase it, but it's now the question is because when the budget process was done, it was based on a sedan model.
Okay.
So now we've got, again, $9,075 in there for our lease payment, which the chief is saying it's $10,728.
Yeah.
Good.
I was just gonna say, with the fuel savings, though, we may actually still be under, what our original budgeted lease payment was. because of
What's
being a
the
hybrid.
cons to just buying it outright?
It's not, it's currently not budgeted. I
Right,
mean, it makes a lot of.
26,382,
Would be a
which
capital
we only have nine,
purchase.
like I said, is because on the budget, the assumption was made that we were gonna be able to buy a sedan,
And
Right.
or
and we're
lease
not
it.
able to do that.
Yeah.
So now it's, lease it and pay $10,728, correct? Which will be a little bit over the $9,075.
But now, on that note, I think when our original, back when we were going through the budget process, I thought that our discussion was to get in this vehicle turnover program, which gets us away
Right.
from maintenance. But I thought that was based on purchasing these vehicles. So that we're
No, I thought
not
it was based on
strapped.
leasing them.
It was getting in a cycle where
It was
every,
just getting us-
you get
that's
3
correct.
cars and every 4th year you get a new one.
Right, but I was thinking that we had discussed buying them outright so that in year 3, we're not stuck with.
No, the 3rd year would be your final payment, and the 4th year is when you would start anew. So we're right now on that program. This would be number 2.
Right.
And then next year would be the 3rd one. And the following year, we would replace the one that we got, I don't know if it was the end of 17 or early 18. Whenever we got that.
Yeah, 17.
Okay.
But the question to council is, you either pay for it now or pay for it later, but the cost of paying for it later is an additional $2,800. That's the,
Over the
that's
3-year.
over the 3 years. Or do you buy it now, knowing that you're gonna have to probably hit some capital funds to pay for it since it's not budgeted? But it would be paid for over the next 2 years after this year, because you wouldn't have to budget that lease payment.
Wishes? Need a motion to buy or a motion to lease? Whatever y'all want to do.
Mr. Severs?
So the term of the lease, chief, so you're saying so at the end, all we're paying is $1, but we're gonna pay,
That's my understanding of the lease. When the 3 years is up, you have the option of purchasing for $1.
What did you say the projected fuel
$3,485.
$34.85 per year.
I can tell you, I had a hybrid, you're not gonna save that much. You go ahead and listen to their story.
Well, the only thing is, Larry, with these, and Sergeant Roberts can tell you this, those cars, when there's somebody in them, don't shut off. They run and run and run. They keep them running. Versus the hybrid, you can have it on, but it's not gonna be running.
And then you're gonna buy a lot more batteries, I can tell you that.
Yeah, they're built for police use. They're built with the electronic system in them is beefed up for police use. And the electronic components on this have an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So,
Yeah, you're only keeping it for 3, and
that was one of my concerns.
I like
about
you
it.
have a hybrid. It's 13 years old, it has over 200,000 miles on it, which we're not gonna come near to keeping one of those that long. It still runs, gets 38 miles per gallon. But if you're only keeping it 3 years, one, you're gonna have fuel savings, no matter what, it's gonna be significant.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have a higher trade-in value when you get it traded in. And they're for police work, I think it would be, now I'm not a police officer, but I will tell you, I call it driving on golf cart mode. You basically drive around without making a noise. And you have to be careful because people don't hear you coming.
If you truly do factor in what the paper says, ultimately by leasing the vehicle at the end of 3 years, it will cost us $21,721. If, I mean, where do those numbers come from?
That's 10,000 per year.
But
Right now, we're putting the year on there.
10,450.
Around 10,000. Give or take, that's usually about what we put on.
So that's, again, if, you know.
Yeah, I put those numbers in there based on our usage.
Okay. Well, then that's.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking $21,729 at the end of 3 years, having plus $1 at the end of the lease. And what would a sedan have been? I thought they were.
And at least 27, probably 29 now.
That's leased. If we buy this thing, that's, I know what you're gonna say, but I'm just playing, you know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna lease it, 10,728, that's gonna cost 32,184. If you're gonna outright buy it, you're gonna pay 29,382. Is that correct?
Yeah. And then if you
We
take
only have
10
budgeted 9,075, so that's $20,307. So that's come out of capital account for it.
Spend it now or spend it later, which do you want to do?
But now, I was playing to your point that even if we do go down the lease route, it still wouldn't be any more than buying a sedan.
Right.
Already.
Right.
Right.
We just pay for it every 3 years. And can budget that lease.
Right. Yeah.
So I go to the bathroom.
Can't help you there.
So where are we? What do you, Mr. Chairman of Finance?
You're gonna make a motion to lease the vehicle.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion on, there's a motion on the table to lease the police vehicle. Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay.
This is for police vehicle.
No, sorry.
Dave Campbell,
Yes.
Jim Felmley.
Yes.
Larry Sear,
No.
Mark Severs,
Yes.
Bill Wilson,
No.
Venus Shade.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 4-2.
Okay. Motion carries. We will be leasing that vehicle. Keep us posted, Chief Clements.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
I do not right now, I have something for executive.
Okay.
Not now.
Okay. Laura, you're up. Rec board.
Okay, not a whole lot to go right now. We need approval to advertise for lifeguards, ticket takers, and the pool manager for rec pool, plus also a name change of the community center. That was brought up by Scott about changing it from Lewistown Community Center to Lewistown Event Center, so people would think, oh, not just, we book events here, to bring in more revenue, not just to have it as a community center. A new name to draw attention to it, to bring more revenue into it.
Okay. So I guess we need a motion to approve advertising for lifeguards, ticket taker, and a pool manager.
So moved.
Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do we need a motion to change the community center name?
Yeah, I agree. So here's it.
Do we
This
need a
is just
motion?
kind of this is the ad that was in the booklet for the chamber last year. And it just, we were sitting there and we've been working on a lot of different tweaks to the community center to try and increase the revenue that we're generating through leasing it out. And it occurred to me that community center might not be the appropriate name, because it's not like you go there for shuffleboard or bingo or crafts and things like that. It's strictly an event center. So, ran it by rec board approved it, and I'm bringing it to you tonight.
Do we have a motion to change the name from Lewistown Community Center to Lewistown Event Center?
Well, personally, I just don't think it's all about the name, it's all about how you market it. So, regardless of the name, it's, what are we doing to market it, to make it a better place to bring people in based on our rate schedule we have discussed before, that we need to talk about some more. I don't think the name really does it.
I don't either.
On that note, what I will say is that our new director, I'm not sure what the title really is at this point, has done a much better job of utilizing social media, whomever is here from the rec board.
Laura.
I'm learning.
Well, before it was, it could have been better, and now, weekly when I'm on social media, I see something pop up advertising the community center for events, and that's wonderful. So my praise to that.
Yeah, and I know, I go to rec board meetings, and Laura has brought up a list of several ways to increase the traffic that comes through there, or just our presence in the community. And she's brought up several of the things that we talked about, Mark, being in the bridal thing and for the Sentinel and stuff like that. And, she's on her way.
And that's what I'm saying, is it's not all about the name, it's about
No.
marketing
No, it's
what
not.
we have right now.
I guess the thought just was that does Lewistown Community Center really invoke a thought of renting a place, or does event center sound a little bit more like,
I get what you're saying. You're right. That it's not what it takes to just make that change, but I don't know.
is it a
I
piece of the
understand
puzzle?
it's a piece, yeah, I can see it's a piece of the puzzle, I guess. But what do we have in making that change?
But again, all we have is that sign in the lawn, it says community
Right.
center, and we have no banner, nothing on the side of the building, there's just nothing.
Well, if we're gonna change the name, that's actually a good thing, because that's less infrastructure.
Right,
we'd have to change.
right, and
But
that's
I
been
know what
discussed
you're
as
saying,
well.
but I think it's another conversation that we need to have, or continue to have.
I agree.
for what that's worth.
So does anyone want to make a motion to change the name?
I mean, I don't know, I'll make the motion. I don't see any harm in it. It's out there.
Do we have a second? I'll step down and second that motion. Discussion. Okay. All those in favor, well, okay, you want to do a roll call? We'll do a roll call. You got your paper out, I don't want to disappoint you at all. So, let's take a vote.
Dave Campbell.
Yeah.
Jim Felmley.
No.
Larry Sear.
No.
Mark Severs.
No.
Bill Wilson.
No.
Ina Shade.
Yes,
Okay. Fails 4-2.
that's okay. We gave it a try.
We
Okay.
ought to utilize, we're members of the chamber, we ought to utilize that broadcasting system there.
We do.
too. That's a good thing to do.
Yes, it might even be a good idea to have a business after hours there.
There you go. I'll pass that on.
Okay, next we have, are you finished, Laura? I'm sorry.
She just asked me a question. I did bring, and I honestly, I didn't make copies, but for the gentleman, remember when we had the rec board meeting? I basically had just, from being in retail for so long, I made up like a list of little things that I thought maybe would help draw to get people down there, to get the venue booked more. And then I also just did I don't want to say a silly questionnaire, but just a questionnaire of 6 very simple questions. I gave one out to the folks that were in there on Sunday. Just very simple, like on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how would you rate your experience at the community center? If there's one thing you could improve on, what would that be? Just to try to get information back. How did you find out? Social media, local advertising, family and friends. Everything, these 6 questions were just trying to get information back from people that do book and use it, that maybe it could improve on and increase the revenue. Because I do see a lot of people, just the short time I've been there, that have booked before, that are repeat customers, and they spread the word. But it would be nice to see it not just booked per se on the weekends, if you could get more stuff in there like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday even, I said Wednesday, sorry. But yeah, and then the other one was just about some different things to try to build the business.
Do you mind if you just let that on the table and then whoever
Yeah,
can look at
there's
it?
2, like I said, I'm not the best typer or the best printer, but.
And remember, they're just ideas.
They're
so
just
nothing's
ideas,
been written in
so
stone,
if anything seems kind of goofy,
Well,
but I have a
on
different
that note too, I
background.
mean, the thing is, when you have repeat customers like that, where they give a referral, then you give them, when they come back next year, you give them a discount.
That was
extra.
one
Well,
of
that
her-
was one of
that
those
was one of
on
her
there.
ideas.
Yes, that was
That's
one of
good.
those on there, and just even
Yep.
one, I know, well, there's a lot more men in here than there are women, but women are coupon connected in the head, so I'm thinking, even if there's a little, like a coupon on the borough's website, like for a percentage off, or just something that's thrown like on an advertising thing. Just very, very simple things, that maybe can get some more revenue down there and make it much more profitable.
And I think we did approve Colby Geyer, right? Is that on our consent agenda? Not yet, I'm sorry. Well, if we do, for those of you that don't know, Colby is a master at social media. So we will use him to the best of our abilities.
I want to say though, I mean, you're headed, we will have lots to talk about. I mean, with finance committee, I'm sure, but you're headed in the right direction. You have the right mindset.
And sometimes you don't have to spend a lot to get a lot back.
Right.
Sometimes it's just something very small,
No, I for one, I appreciate your mindset in this. This was, that specific mindset was something that I know that I was looking for as being on personnel committee and hiring somebody for this job. I had a family member apply for the job, so I was not involved in any of the hiring or interviewing at all. Normally I would have been had she not applied, but that was a big thing with me, and I know it was Mark as well. So good job so far, huh?
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rennie, you have anything?
No report.
Okay. Mr. Wellham?
Okay, number one, I wanted to give you an update on 672 and 674 Valley Street. We were successful in the bid that we put in for the purchase of those properties, buying them off the, what's the?
The county repository.
The county repository. So we are finalizing the agreement with the county. I thought I would have a signed copy from the commissioners in hand, but they did not have it on their agenda for the meeting on Thursday. So where we are with that is they're going through the process of settling the deed. Once the deed's settled, I'll be able to bring, I did put this on the Borough website for you all to take a look at. I don't know if you saw it, the agreement with the county. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering why it wasn't on the agenda here.
Because,
Approve it.
well, I mean, you can approve it before the commissioners approve it, or, you know, conditionally.
Well, I'd rather wait till they approve it first.
Okay, so I was gonna just bring it back at the March meeting. But I just wanted to tell you where we were with this. And then as soon as they get the deed settled, and the agreement in hand at the March meeting, I think we just approved to go ahead with the demolition of it.
Well, because council's already approved this demolition, so that should go hand in hand with that, correct?
Yeah, so we'll get this signed and we'll get it back here at the March meeting, and then we'll move forward with knocking it down. Any questions on those two properties?
Well, I got one question, Mark. So on that agreement with the county, is that all solely based on that the borough has clear title to the property on this demolition deal, or what?
So our title will be out of the county repository of unsold properties. So eventually the borough will quiet title to that property if it's gonna sell it, which is something you do pretty much any time you buy property in a tax sale. It's not really a big deal. So, right, the way the agreement's kind of set out is the borough will get title to the property. The borough will spend the money to tear it down. The county will reimburse 50% of the actual cost of demolition. And then, in the event that the borough does wind up selling the property at some point, there's a formula in there where the county will recoup some of the money.
Now, my question is, like in the past, where supposed CDBG money was used to tear properties down where we have no recourse, we don't own title to it, so, I mean, you could have Section 8 housing in those places, so this would not apply, correct?
Right, there's no CDBG money being used for these. This is, the money is coming from, the borough's money will come from general borough funds, and that money that comes from the county is actually coming from their deed, their deed fee.
Okay.
All right.
So I guess in the end, there's not going to be really restrictions on what the borough can do with the property, other than the agreement that they might repay some of the county's contributions.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, this next thing is the Finance Committee wanted us to look into upgrading our lighting, and the first building that we started with, upgrading being going to LED. First building we started with was the warehouse. We had a consultant come in from the Height Company in conjunction with Sodexo, which is the company that, if you upgrade your lighting to LED, you put yourself in a position to get money back based on the savings you're going to use in kilowatt hours and the kilowatts, the reduction in the kilowatts because of the fixtures. So at the warehouse, we have 26 sodium vapor hi-hats down there. 20 of them are more intense than the other 6. But to replace the lighting down there is $5,061.81. Now this is where it gets fun. We'll get a rebate of $1,358.06 back. So that takes it down to, I think, around $3,700 roughly. The neat thing is, we will pay for the upgrade in a year and a quarter. So it'll only take us a year and a quarter of savings on electric usage to pay for that. Now this is LED. They have a 50,000 hour life, and then you throw them out. You just take the fixture down and throw them out. But over that life, so I don't know how long it's going to take us to get to the 50,000 hours, we'll save $102,000 in electric by upgrading the lighting down there. So that was the Finance Committee's idea to go through with that. I didn't have these numbers at the meeting, but I thought it was important enough to present it to you so we could get this moving forward to replace those lights down there. Oh, and the other neat thing about it is, right now, those lights might get flipped on at 6 a.m. when they come in, and they may or may not get turned off during the day, right, Tim?
Correct.
So if Tim's happen to walking through, he's shutting it off, but if he's not around, they're not going to get turned off. Each one of these units has a motion detector on the unit itself. So if there's movement, it'll flip on. If there's not movement, it'll turn itself off. So there you go. So I'd like a motion to move forward with this program. Yeah. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
I have another question, something different.
Oh, okay, then we'll finish this.
Okay.
Opposed? Carries.
Yeah, I just got a phone call from my wife and everybody else, most of them know it here. Now, 4 Pine Park Drive has got a main water break up there. And it's all ice. I know it's private land up there, but the road's all ice now. So I'm asking for some salt. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's,
Well, the one thing we've, in the past, what we've done is, if it's a safety issue, which if the road's all ice and you can't get a fire truck up there or a police car, that's a safety issue. So Tim, I know your guys are out. Can you direct somebody to take some salt up that way, please?
No problem.
Okay.
because 2 weeks ago, we had that snow, Gregory up there, he's bedridden, he has to go to the hospital sometimes, and I parked close to my house, but the way they plowed it, the ambulance couldn't get up. They had they couldn't get up to his house.
Well, all you need to do is rebuild that street and put sidewalks in, and we'd be more than happy to take care of it for you.
Who plows that?
Just somebody, one lady moved in up there, her ex-father-in-law, I guess he plowed it, and usually we take these snow blowers out, but anyway, we just go up with the snow blowers and blow it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for the heads up.
I'm going to enlist Dawn in to help with this. We talked about this at Finance, and we got some good news because we had 3 bids to replace cutter blades on 6 of the pumps that chop up the waste material down at the wastewater treatment plant. And what triggered this was, if you all been down to the wastewater treatment plant or driven by, we have a building that looks like it has a hot air balloon on top of it. That's where we store the methane gas. But the pump in that building, it wasn't functioning properly, and we kept getting backups. Dawn, in the past, you had a very, like a Volkswagen bus-sized hairball in there.
Yeah.
And we thought we had the same issue. Now, the way they rectified it before is, during the reconstruction back in 2012, before they put the roof on it, they were able to get in there and get this thing out. And we started looking at the prices to take that roof off and do that again, and we were looking at $450,000. So then we started looking at Plan B, and they started taking things apart. And we found out that the cutter blades on this one pump works extremely dull. Now, there's 6 of these. So what Don would like to do is, he's out of spares, and what we need to do is get on a program where we start replacing these cutters on a more regular basis. So 2012 and 19, this is 7 years, and we did have this particular set that he replaced. We had tried to have them sharpened, but it doesn't work. So we went out and we priced these out. The one that we thought was a CoStar's vendor, you're looking at approximately $10,500 per set of these cutters. So there was, well, actually the one that we thought we were going to have to buy, that amount was $14,000 per. And we were able to find this other one that he had the best price from, John P. Place, came in at $10,500, so a savings of $3,500. It turns out they are a CoStar's vendor as well, so we don't have to put the things out for bid. So what we're asking for is approval to purchase 2 sets of these cutters, and we're going to budget for the next 2 years after to budget 2 more sets.
So we're looking for a total of what?
$21,609.60.
We have a motion? Larry's made a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second. Nope.
Nope, okay. It's
I'll
been
second.
seconded. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the last thing I have is something that Don and I have been working on for a couple of years. So we're going to have, in 2021, we're going to have Valley Street reconstructed, totally reconstructed and paved. They're going to be tearing it all up, taking the bricks out. I still think there's some railroad ties in there based on them coming down there in front of Fry Motors. But we need to put in 9 manholes before 2021, because we have some situations now where because of the distance between the manholes, we can't see what's going on in some sections.
We have that budgeted for 9, right? We have those manholes, we have 9 of those already budgeted.
We haven't budgeted?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what I'm looking
We
for,
do.
at 9,000 apiece.
I think we do.
Okay, so then
Double check, but I think we do.
what I'm looking for tonight, I think that was in capital, wasn't it?
I'll have to double check, I'm not positive, but I know we had discussions on that.
Okay, so then I just,
Huh?
I'll have one at my desk. What I'm looking for tonight is not to spend money yet, but I would like to turn Gannett Fleming loose on doing the drawings, the specs, the PennDOT highway occupancy permit for these 9 manholes.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
You
you very
got it.
much, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, so that leads us up to unfinished and new business. First, we have the acceptance of resignations from 4 boards. Bruce Buffington from the Civil Service Commission, Colby Geyer from the Planning Commission, Jason Cunningham from the Rec Board, and Matt Webb from the Rec Board.
How many members do you actually have on the rec board? Do you have a full complement?
I think we're vacant one.
I think we have missing one.
Still missing one.
Well, because Colby, hopefully we're missing one. We're missing 2 right now, but you're going to be hopefully appointing Colby tonight, so it'll be down to 1.
Did the other 2 say why they were resigning?
Matt Webb moved.
Okay.
And
Jason got ticked at Frank's attack.
in December, so yeah.
Bruce Buffington moved out of there.
Bruce Buffington moved and Colby's just changing
Yeah.
areas.
My term also expired.
Right. Any questions?
Nope.
Any other questions? Can you make a motion for that?
Except for resignations?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to make that motion?
Yeah.
We have a second to accept those resignations?
Second.
Thanks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we have the appointment of Colby Geyer to the Rec Board. Anybody have any questions about Colby? He has been to rec board and rec board has approved and makes that recommendation to appoint him.
So moved.
I'll second it.
That appointment by resolution or not?
It is by resolution, yes. We don't need a vote, so, remember? We don't need to do a roll call for a
No, you don't.
resolution. So, all those in favor of, because we had a, who seconded that? I know you made the motion.
I think Larry.
Mark or I.
Larry.
Yeah, okay, Mark did, okay, just making sure. So, all those in favor of appointing Colby?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye, sorry. Opposed?
No.
Okay. Reappointment of Barry Bargo to the rec board for another 3-year term.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Reappointment of Nelson Riefenach to the zoning hearing board for another 3-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And then the last one is the appointment of Michael Spar for the Civil Service Commission.
So moved.
Second.
All those in, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anyone have any other new business? Not on here? Okay. Any public comments? Okay, we will adjourn for executive session.
Well, we haven't